Hello, welcome to this Figma overview. My name is Cameron. In this video, we'll be going over the essential skills to get started in Figma in 2026. So what is Figma? It isn't just a design tool anymore. It's where products are built, where teams prototype with AI, agencies run client work live, developers pull code-ready designs, and product managers collaborate daily. And you can be part of all of that, so let's get started. So here we are in the Figma file browser. This is what you'll see when you open up the desktop version of Figma, which is what I'm using. But you can use the browser version, it's completely up to you. I just prefer the desktop version. I want you to focus on three main areas here. The menu that we have going down the left, the options that we have going across the top, and this center area here, which I've covered up. But what this shows is your most recent files. Now, if you go down the left, as I mentioned, first you'll start off with your account. So the things that you can see here is like your profile picture, your theme, and updating your account settings. Then you have recents, which again, as I mentioned, is the most recent files that you've worked on. So if you select on that, this area in the middle will be populated, and you'll see again the most recent files. Here you have the community. Now Figma has a vast community that has many, many participants. In the community section, you can find things like widgets, templates, and plugins that have been contributed by the Figma community. If you go down, what you can see in my version of the file browser that I'm using because of the work that I've done recently is the teams option. In Figma, projects and files are grouped within a team, so it allows you to collaborate really easy. And as part of a team, you can share files and work on things. It is really the way to go. Now you can see we've got drafts. Any files that are not part of a project stay here. That would make more sense as you go along in your journey in Figma. All projects shows all the projects your team is working on. In the resources section, you'll see templates and plugins built by your team. In the trash section, like any other trash section of any other application, is where you throw away or delete things that you've worked on. Going across the top, what this shows you here is all the different suites you have within Figma. Figma is now a suite of different applications. And you have design, which we'll focus on mainly in these videos. But you have FigJam. FigJam is like a digital whiteboard where you can collaborate with co-workers. You can create stickers, you can create notes, you can put up design files, design frames and comment on them. It's a really great resource if you're working in a team. Slides. So many times when you have design ideas, you will present them on slides. What people have done in the past, they've gone outside of Figma and put designs and commentary into something like Google Slides or PowerPoint. Figma now allows you to do that right within Figma. Buzz, this is where you can create static artwork to help with, for example, like social media posts. Site, Figma allows you now to launch a simple site via Figma sites. It's still in beta, but many people are using it. They're designing their websites within Figma. Once they're ready to launch live to the internet, they're using Figma sites. Figma Make is now the AI capability of Figma, and we will be spending some time in Figma Make. And as from 2026, many people, many designers, they're starting off in Figma Make to generate really quick ideas. And then once they want to touch up those ideas and create a bit more bespoke look to those designs, they go back into Figma Design and do what they do best within the Figma Design environment. But they start off in Figma Make because, as I said, it generates ideas really quickly. Okay, here we are in Figma Design. Now you navigate here by selecting Design at the top of the file browser that we saw earlier in the video. Now when I start to learn an application, what I like to do first is to understand what each element in the toolbar does. In Figma, you have two toolbars. You've got one going across, which is the main menu, but the other one you have here, which is on the canvas. The canvas area is the most important part of Figma Design, and it's where you will be spending most of your time. As you can see down here, you've got a blue icon, or you've got an icon that's highlighted in blue. Now, the reason being is because this is the most frequent tool on the toolbar that you would use, and it's the move tool. That's why Figma highlights it when you first start off. So in this section, you have a drop-down menu, or menu pops up, and this is the move part of the toolbar. Now you can see you've got three options here. You've got move, you've got hand tool, and you have scale. The letters next to it are the shortcuts. So if you want to learn the shortcuts, you can go ahead. So for example, if I press H, you can see a hand appears, a hand icon. That is the hand tool that allows you to span across the canvas. The reason why that is good is because you might have many different design screens on your canvas and you just want to navigate across them really easily. So you select the hand tool without moving anything on the screen and just scroll across. So going back to the move tools, let's go back to the actual move tool. Just select that. As you can see, it's got an arrow pointing there. So this allows you to move elements on the screen. So for example, if there was a square there or a circle, I can move it from one location to another. When you're working on screens, you'll find that really, really helpful. For example, you might want to move a bit of text around or an image around. You select the move tool to do that. Going back to the move menu, you have scale. Now what that does is allows scale objects without it losing quality. So for example, if I come to the shapes menu, which we'll talk about in a second, and select rectangle, just create a rectangle there on the canvas, and I want to scale that, I can do that like this. So you typically use the scale tool for images. So you've got an image inside a box and you want to scale it without it losing quality, you'll use the scale tool. Now we're going to walk through the basics of working with frames, sections, and slices in Figma. These are known as the region tools. To get started, hover over the down arrow next to the icon that looks like a box on a chalkboard. Then select it. A menu pops up, as you can see. You'll see the menu has three options: frame, section, and slice. They also have the shortcut keys next to them. Select frame. Now click and drag on the canvas to draw your frame. You can resize it by dragging any of the corner handles. As you resize, you'll see the dimensions update in real time in the right panel. Instead of manually sizing your frame, Figma lets you choose from preset device sizes. Let's delete the frame we made by selecting it and pressing delete on the keyboard. Select the frame option again from the toolbar. In the panel that opens on the right, expand the phone category to see options like iPhone 14 and 15 Pro. You can also explore tablet and desktop presets to quickly set up frames for available screen sizes. Select iPhone 14 and 15 Pro. Figma will instantly create a correctly sized frame on the canvas. Repeat this to add a second iPhone frame next to the first. Let's organize our frames using a section. Select the section tool from the toolbar and draw around your frames. Sections are great for grouping related screens and keeping your canvas tidy. You can see both frames and the section appear in the Layers panel on the left. You'll also see a toggle on the right side panel that allows you to apply a ready status indicator on your design. Select it. Hovering over it reveals the design is ready for dev, signaling to developers that this screen is approved and ready to be handed off, which is a typical use case for using sections. Finally, let's look at the slice tool. you can undo the section area. The slice tool is used to specify an area you would like to export to, say, a developer or a client. Click the region menu in the toolbar and select Slice. Use it to draw a selection over the specific areas of your canvas to export. Just like I've done there, and you'd use this to export this section of your design. Go to the right-hand panel. Select the plus button next to export. You can choose the file type to export, but by default it's PNG. You can also choose the size ratio of the export. Once you're happy, you can just select export. And that's it. You now know how to use frames, sections, and slices in Figma to structure and organize your design workflow. Let's move on to the shape tools. First, where are they? Look at your toolbar below. You'll see a shape icon. It usually defaults to a rectangle or a square. Click the little arrow next to it. And up pops the menu. The whole family is hiding there. Let's start with rectangle. Click and drag to draw any size you want. If you want a perfect square, just hold Shift while you drag. If you just click on the canvas instead of dragging, Figma gives you a default 100 by 100 square. And that happens whilst you're holding Shift. It's a tiny time saver. And here's the fun part. If you just select a rectangle, go over here to the corner radius, we can actually smoothen out those corners. So you can choose to smoothen out all of them. If I just enter a number here, for example 20, you can see all the corners smoothened out. Let's say I just want to smoothen out one of them. Move that back to 0. And I want to smoothen out this one here. I can select the individual corners. And let's say, for example, 20. There you can see that individual corner has smoothened out. Let's say I want to smoothen out the bottom one. Let's go for a crazy number like 50. There you can see it's smoothened out. So we have some sort of card happening here. These could be used in your designs. So smoothing out corners of rectangles is a great way of making badges or custom buttons. Next up, the line tool. Click and drag to make a simple line. Hold Shift to keep it perfectly horizontal, vertical, or 45 degrees. Now, a line is just a stroke. So if you want to thicken it up, go to the stroke panel on the right and increase the weight. Let's stick to 10. You can also make it a dashed here or even add a dot pattern if you like. How about a brush stroke? A dash cap at the end. A round dash cap at the other end. Lines are perfect for making dividers or custom underlines for titles. Arrows live right next to the lines. It works exactly like the line tool, but it adds an arrowhead at the end by default. Again, if you use the Shift key, it will draw you a perfectly straight line, horizontal or at 45 degrees. You can flip the arrowhead, remove it, or change its style, like turning it into a circle, all from the stroke panel. So many options there, as you can see. Arrows are super useful for annotations or user flow diagrams. Tool number 4 is the ellipse tool. Click and drag for an oval. Hold Shift for a perfect circle. But here's a pro trick for 2026. Look at that little handle on the side of the circle. If you grab it and drag, you can turn your circle into a pie chart slice or an arc ring. You can type in the exact degrees in the sidebar too. It's perfect for progress rings or loading animations. Now, let's get a bit more advanced with polygon and star. Select the polygon tool. By default, it gives you a triangle. Stretch it. You can rotate it like other shapes. But check this out. Every shape has a live handle. On the polygon, drag the handle in the right-hand corner to add or remove sides. You can turn a triangle into a hexagon in half a second. You can also use the right sidebar to type in exactly how many sides you want. Pretty cool, hey? Switch to star. It's similar, but you get two control. One handle changes the number of points, and the inner handle changes the fatness of the star. As you can see, using this point, I'm changing the number of sides of the star. The inner handle here changes the fatness. I use this for ratings or decorative badges. Just drag and play with it to create bursts or sparkles instantly. These two tools alone allows you to understand how it's possible to actually design within Figma. Okay, before we jump out, I promised you the most essential tool of all, the text tool. Open the menu next to the T and select text. Here's the core difference you need to know. If you just click, you get a point text box. It expands endlessly as you type. Perfect for single line headers. As you can see, I'm typing endlessly. But if you click and drag, you create a text box with a fixed width. Let's go for 100 height. Text will wrap automatically inside it. This is the key to keeping your paragraphs tidy. I'm going to write a title called Design is Life. Let's style it. All the controls live on the right panel. We've got your font family. Weight, regular, medium, semi-bold, and all the others. And size. Pro tip for 2026. Clean sizing is still based on the 4 pixel rule, like 12, 16, 20, and 24. It keeps your spacing mathematically perfect. Also, don't sleep on line height. A good rule of thumb is 120% to 150% of your font size. So if I had this at 20, a line height could be 42. And you can scrub this icon to adjust it live. It's not doing it. There you go. You can also tweak letter spacing here. Try a tiny negative percentage for big headlines to make them look premium. The text properties give you many options such as alignment, creating text components, and drawing a longer path. We can explore those deeper in further lessons. So that's the text tool. Combined with those shapes we just learned, you've got everything you need to start building real interfaces. So you've drawn your rectangles, your ellipses, and your text. But when your design gets complex, how do you manage what's on top of what? That's where layers comes in. Think of layers as a stack of paper. The item at the top of the list is visually in front, and the item at the bottom is behind everything else. Figma shows this stack in the Layers panel on the left side of your screen. Let's learn how to read it, organize it, and use it to speed up your workflow. Okay, so let's build on this. I'm going to add a frame. As you can see, all the shapes were nested inside the frame. Now I'm going to add the shapes on top of each other. First, look at the panel. Each object you create gets its own entry. The order is bottom to top in the list. Matching back to front on the canvas. To select anything, just click its name here. Super handy when something is buried under other shapes. Now, please do yourself a favor. Rename your layers. double click the name and type something human readable like header or profile photo. There you go, I've changed the rectangle name to profile photo. Just click away. It makes finding things later 100 times easier. Notice the little icons? T means text. A rectangle is a shape. 4 tiny squares means a group. And if you see a little arrow, that means there are layers inside, like a frame or a group. Now let's look at rearranging layers. Rearranging is just drag and drop. In the panel, grab a layer and move it up to bring it forward, or down to send it back. As you can see, I've moved layers there. Can move one outside. So let's take hello photo. I've just moved it. One, another one, and another one. If I take a shape like ellipse, I'll move it forward. Now you can see it's in the front. You can also use keyboard shortcuts to rearrange the layers. So if I go to select polygon and I select the right bracket symbol on the keyboard, you can see it's moved. The left bracket sends it back. Okay, so you got the right bracket that sends it forward. The left bracket sends it back. Now let's move on to groups. If you want to move several things together, you might group them. Select your objects, hit Command or Control plus G, and they become a group in the Layers panel. Groups are just containers for your selections. They don't have a visual boundary. If I just select the star, square, ellipse, and the triangle, and press Command G on Mac, you can see they became a group in the Layers panel, as I mentioned. But in 2026, frames are the real power move. So let's look at this group. You can move things together. But a frame, the shortcut to create a frame is Command or Control plus Alt and G. It's a container that has size, fills, and can use auto layout. In your Layers panel, frames have a special hash icon. As you can see there, that's a frame. The main thing we have on the canvas is a frame. They're essential for responsive design. I almost always use frames over groups now because they give you clip-in, independent corner radius, and layout properties. So if you undo this group, ungroup, and then create a frame. Command, Alt, and G. There you go. A new frame has been created. And it is the way to go in 2026, as I mentioned. Now let's talk about finding icons when we have a more busier file like we do have in front of us right now. So let's say you wanted to find or select this little arrow button here. How do you do it? It's nested inside something. It's not as easy as just clicking one of the squares or ellipses that we had in the previous lesson. So an easy way to do that is to select over the icon that you want, right click, and select layer. So as you hover over that, you see Figma gives you a pop-up menu where you have the options to actually pin down and narrow down on that little thing that you want. So I want to select the arrow down circle. Select that,
And as you can see, it has highlighted it straight in the layers menu. So by right clicking and using the pop-up menu after scrolling over select layer, I've been able to pinpoint the exact item I wanted in the layers panel. Now, if you look to the right here, you see you've got a padlock and a circle. Now, let's say I didn't want to move this icon around the frame and I wanted it to stay exactly where it is. I can just select the padlock. Now that cannot be moved. It will stay exactly where it is. So let's see, try to move it. I can't. I moved the frame. Now let's say I actually wanted to hide it and focus on the image or the text. I'll select that eye icon. So as you can see, it says toggle layer visibility. And there you go, it's gone. So I know that it's locked, but I don't want to see it at the moment because I want to focus on the text or the image. I can toggle the visibility. Now that is a great feature to have. And they are two superpowers live in this panel. Lock and hide. This is perfect for keeping a messy background layer out of your way while you focus on more detailed work that is more upfront.
One last final tip to end on is that you can use a search function in Figma to find layers. So if I just click the find icon, and as you can see, I've already searched for button primary, but let's redo that for your benefit. So if I type in button, as you can see, Figma is returning all these layer results that have button as their name. So that's button primary. So now it returns all these results that have button primary as their name. So that is another great way to find layers in your project. And just one final bit of advice. Mastering layers is what takes you from just drawing to designing with intention. A clean layer panel makes your files shareable, understandable, and way less frustrating. And it's such a good way to fasten up your design process. With the fundamentals out of the way, what if you could describe an app screen with words? And Figma just built it for you. Not a wireframe, not a placeholder, a real editable layered design. That's exactly what Figma Make does. It's the biggest shift in how we design since the move to the browser. And in 2026, it's fully integrated into your workflow. Let me show you how it works. Figma Make is an AI-powered design generator built directly into Figma. Instead of dragging rectangles and typing text manually, you describe what you want in plain English or any compatible language. And Figma Make produces a complete, editable design in seconds. And this is the crucial part. What you get back isn't a flattened image. It's real Figma layers, frames, auto layout, text and components that you can tweak, restyle and connect to your design system. You're not replacing your skills, you're accelerating them. To access Figma Make, you have to come back to the home screen by pressing the home button here. And as shown earlier in the video, you select Make. So by clicking that, it opens up Figma Make. It's just loading now. And there you go. You have the interface to Figma Make. This panel here, or this search box like area, just like on Google search, is where you enter the prompt to start the process of making something in Figma Make. The quality of what you get back depends a lot on how you write your prompt. A vague prompt like a landing page gives you something generic. A specific prompt gives you something useful. Start with the screen type or platform, a mobile dashboard, for example, or a desktop settings page, a tablet menu. Then describe the main sections with a sidebar, a stats chart, and a recent activity feed. And then add visual style, minimalist, dark mode, high contrast. And finally call out key elements. For example, use blue accent color, rounded cards, or a profile avatar. Figma provides users with examples to start with, as you can see here.
But let's enter something on our own. So I'll start with a prompt like a mobile plant shop home screen with a search bar, category chips, indoor, outdoor, succulent. Let's be more specific. Oh, made an error there. Just want to be specific and give these commas. Let's be consistent and capitalize. And it's very important to use very good grammar, so that's why I've put a comma there. A featured carousel, so something that turns around or rotates. Featured, I actually want a plant carousel, don't I? A featured plant carousel and a bottom navigation bar. In terms of style, what warm, earthy tones, rounded images would be modern. Clean type of feed. Let's say spell typography. So the last bit you can see is all about our design system. So we want warm, earthy tones, rounded images, and clean typography. You'll learn about design systems the more you progress in UX. But let's hit this arrow button and see what it brings back. As you can see, Figma Make is thinking. It's processing your prompt or the prompt I put in, and it's going to bring us something back. Let's see how long this takes. It's reasoning. It's working now on creating the files. As you can see, producing CSS. Now it's looking for images. This is all happening so quick. Imagine if you had to do this yourself. It would take so much longer. Still building what we want. It's giving you good feedback, working out the details. And you get feedback on this left-hand panel as well. So that's really important in design, to give users feedback. That's another principle that you need to learn and understand in UX design. It's always important to give users feedback when something is happening, when a process is happening. Have you ever pressed a button to move to a next screen and then it's just paused or it's taken a while and you don't know what's happening? That is very frustrating for a user. So Figma here is giving us feedback. Although it's taking time, we know it's doing something. You can see here, it's coming back with something. Look at that. Absolutely amazing. After Figma Make has done building your prompt, and when you first start using this tool, it gives you a heads up guide, as you can see here in the blue box. So the first part of the guide, it says select anything in the preview, then type your changes in the chat or edit directly with inline tools. So primarily, you will be using this chat box here to build your frames or your app or whatever you're working on. The chat box is how you interact with Figma Make. as is typical with AI tools. But what you also can do is, as it shows here, is a pin and point. So you can select anything here and interact with the designs in line. So for example, if I wanted to change this search bar here, I could select it, type something in, an interface will open up, and I can interact with the search bar here. And I can also use prompts within the search bar here. We'll show that later on in upcoming videos when we go into more detail about Figma Make. So if I select next, you can see it says attach images or Figma frames to start off with your own designs and visually guide what you're making. So I can actually attach designs here that I've made in Figma design, like frames that I showed you earlier, attach them here and add a prompt to it, and then Figma Make will build designs based off the designs that I've attached. So if you go to the next one, it says here to build with your desired look and feel, export a library to Figma Make. So you can export a library that you've built with design styles into Figma Make, and Figma Make will start building those designs based off what you've input. Next, you can share your working app. So publish what you've made to the web or share privately with your own team. So you can actually publish within Figma Make what you've designed, what you worked on, publicly to the web, and people can see it. Or you can share it privately with your team. So if I select done, the heads up guide will go away, and then you can share as well. As this is here, you can share Figma Make into your design or FigJam or Figma slides. Remember what we spoke about right at the beginning of the video, that Figma has a suite of apps like Figma Design, FigJam, and Slides where you can work on, and you can share your designs within Slideshow or Figma Jam. A top tip on using Figma Make is that great products are rarely built on the first try. The magic happens in the iteration, and that's what we'll look at in this final part, so that you know how to refine and explore different ideas in Figma Make, so you can turn a good starting point into something exceptional. Here's the thing, Figma Make does a lot of the heavy lifting, but your ideas, your style, and your vision are what make a product truly great. Think of Figma Make as your design and development partner, and like all great partnerships, communication is key. Complex projects usually need multiple rounds of follow-up prompts. You can enter these here in the left sidebar. Along with additional design assets and reference images if you want to guide the visual direction. So you just press plus as I showed before and add images or attach a design from Figma Design. My top recommendation, break your requests into smaller, more focused bites. Instead of being broad, like redesign the entire dashboard, try update the sidebar navigation to use icons with labels, or add a summary card to the top of the main content area. This incremental approach helps you craft complex interfaces piece by piece while keeping control of the overall vision. So for example, you could go to this card, select it, and say, update this card panel here, or update the search bar for me, rather than saying, update the whole design. While you're building, don't forget to actually play with your prototype. Testing uncovers opportunities to improve the experience that you might miss on a static canvas. And that's the basics of Figma Make. In further tutorials, I would dive deeper into using this amazing feature. Alright, so a few minutes ago, Figma might have looked confusing, but now you know exactly what's going on here. The interface is no longer random. You know how to use frames, shapes, layers, and Figma Make. But the only way to really get comfortable from here is to just keep using it. So open up a new file and build something small, recreate a simple layout, and the final thing. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe.